and thank you for joining us tonight. It had all the elements of a thriller crime movie. An undercover federal agent gains the trust of a dark, mysterious group, then springs the trap in a Southern California paradise. But the FBI says it was all too real, and the criminals were after sex with little boys.
I spent 26 years in the FBI, many of those years in an undercover capacity. I was the undercover FBI agent in 20 administratively approved undercover operations. I was a contract killer, a drug dealer, a white-collar criminal. I spent 3 years infiltrating NAMBLA, the North American Man-Boy Love Association. NAMBLA was my most difficult case. Psychologically, it was gut-wrenching to listen to men talk about their justification on why it was proper to have sex with boys. Letters were graphic. Many described in rich detail what they did to little boys. This organization was hiding behind the First Amendment.
Not a YouTuber, just like making videos, and today's topic is who's going to save the children? Who is going to protect the children? We're going to go into pedophilia, these pedophiles, and child predators. And I tell you, the only cure for pedophiles is to go ahead and put a gun to their brains and pull the trigger. There's no rehabilitation for them. There's no coming back from that dark place that they went to. You know, it's best just to put a gun to their temple and have them eating a mouthful of brains. What are you going to do? You know what? Put them in jail? You know, and they're going to just come out and do it again? And the thing is, the killer part is we give these guys, these sickos, a slap on the wrist. And not only that, a lot of times a staunch finger waving. Oh, don't do that again. Now my thing is, if you're going to treat these sick bastards like this, these monsters, you know, you're going to just let them loose running around in the streets. You might as well do the same for the drug dealers, the gangbangers, the pimps, or whatever. You know, be fair here. Because to me, a pedophile, I'm like, they're human fucking garbage. I'm like, these dudes, I'm like, there's no justification for what they did. There is no redemptions for them. If I find out that somebody's went to jail for being a pedophile, I do not want to be around that person. I don't want to work with that person, have any sort of relationships with that person. I don't care if I'm related to him. The only way you can make things right if you kill them. You have to kill them. You know, and that's it. You know, because they're going to keep doing what they're doing. I'm like, that's just if they have this urge to do it. And a lot of them feel that they have a natural right to do it. I'm like, you look at NAMBLA, the North American Man-Boy Love Association, which they want to lower the age of consent to about 6 years old. And there's there's a bunch of these organizations out there. You know, you also have Don Pedo, you have Boy Chat. You know, I get my research. Man, they're all over the fucking place. You know, and why aren't people talking about it more? You know what I'm saying? People went into some big incident happened, and they're talking about, you know, you got Africa Bambaataa, Jerry Sandusky. You know, I'm like, the rabbit hole gets real deep on this one. But I'm gonna tell you, see, I was watching this documentary. I think it was by a man by the name of Louis Theroux or whatever. You know, he got some weird. He does these documentaries, and he's like a journalist or whatever. He did one on the Hebrew Israelites, one on racist people, and so forth. and he went into like these a place for pedophiles, and like this rehabilitation center that they put these pedophiles in to help them and so forth. And then they have this part to see if they've been cured, are they eligible to re-enter into society. They actually had this program where they have to sit and watch this videos of little boys, and then they literally attach some sort of wire to their penis. If they're sexually aroused by images of these little kids, then they fail. You know, if they're not, then they pass and they go back in society. Yeah, I wish they'll do drug dealers like that. No. You know what you do? You take, instead of attaching a little a wire or whatever to their penis, attach some sort of wire to their brains and notch it up to about, I don't know, 100,000 volts and blow their heads up. That's the only answer. That's the only way you can fix it. And we know some pedophiles, you know, you got these Catholic priests and they just get relocated someplace. Or they just go over here and they just go over there or whatever. You know, especially when it comes to but girls are different, I admit. When it comes to young boys, it's almost like they tell young boys who've been molested to shake it off. Oh, just shake it off and take a shower. You'll be all right. And that's the thing. Who's going to protect the children? Because we have done a terrible job amongst us due to the fucking media protecting these fucking bastards. And that's what's going on here. Nobody's protecting the children. Everybody's fucking trying to protect the pedophiles. I tell you, nothing makes sense anymore. It's all upside down. And I'm gonna tell you how these pedophiles get away with what they're getting away with, how they operate, and how we have created a society where it has become, it's become luxurious for a pedophile. We've just literally made it easy. We might as well go ahead and just make it legal. You know, because the thing is, when it comes to, you know, these child predators, I understand it's about dominance and it's about power. You know, and children are so vulnerable to adults. You know, children have to look at adults for guidance and for authority and for access. So it's very easy for an adult to take advantage of this dynamic in school, in the workplace, and social activities and so forth. Also, we must understand that a lot of adults don't like kids, or I would say don't like being around kids. Their own kids, your own kids, because you can discipline them and tell them what to do. Some adults can, but you know, we consider kids almost sometimes as an annoyance and nuisance. Now, I'm not talking about just hate them, but you know, it's like, you know, kids, get out of my yard. Kids, stop playing around that car. Kids, stop playing with that fire hydrant. Stop playing with the hose, because kids are always just, you know, getting into mischief or whatever. Or they're loud. I remember when I worked when I lived in this apartment complex, and I used to hear these kids just screaming and playing around, and you know, it used to keep me up, and I'm like, oh man, somebody come get these kids. But a pedophile, they operate different. You know, they want to try to build a relationship with kids. They see kids out there playing around or whatever, or even if they're into some sort of mischief, you know, they be very liberal in how they approach them. You know, overly friendly. That's why when we see strangers become overly friendly with kids, yeah, red flag should go up. We should say, what you doing? You know what I'm saying? Let's like don't take candy from a stranger, because we know the typical adult don't like being bothered around kids. And we look at this other dude, I'm like, God, well, what's this dude's problem here? You know, why is he being overly, why is he socializing with kids at this level? And so therefore, and this is why what mess kids' minds up, because kids are so used to adults giving them the cold shoulder or being scornful to them, and they look at this like, oh wow, this dude, he's actually nice. All these other adults are just waving their fingers, don't want to be bothered with us, or look at us as just some sort of menace. And this guy, you know, he's offering us pizza. He said we can come to his house and play video games, and and things of that nature. You know, so and that's how it is, and that's why you have to, and that's how these guys maneuver. They try, just like how a man tries to kick game to a female, they're kicking game to young people. And also, we have to look at how do we profile a sexual predator or a pedophile. You know, when we look at a predator, a pedophile, we look at them as, as just some sort of recluse, some sort of introvert, some sort of a loner or a loser dude who probably lives in a basement or lives in an attic somewhere, and someone who hangs out at the parks and hide behind trees, some sort of loser in life who's quiet, who's socially awkward. That's how we label pedophiles. That's like, oh yeah, that guy, look at this guy, he's a loser, and now he's trying to talk to these kids at the playground. But we know that that's not that's not the case in a lot of scenarios. And this is when the pedophiles, they get real dangerous. When you're dealing with someone like a preacher, somebody who's a pillar of society, African Bambaataa, a pioneer in hip hop or some shit like that. People who do things for the kids, Jerry Sandusky, and there's another guy, probably the worst of them all, was a guy by the name of Jimmy Savine. Jimmy Savine was a dude in England, and he went to the grave. He never got convicted. When he died, all the sexual allegations showed up, because that's how much power this dude had. They said he was a disc jockey, he was a TV personality, he was tied in with the mafia. Fucking minds. They're talking about this dude used to molest kids in the hospital. This dude would fucking molest cancer patients. He didn't give a fuck. He was like a demon. You know what I'm saying? He never got indicted. He never got ran up. It was until he died. That's when I'm like, this dude was knighted by the Queen of England, which that don't really mean shit anyway, to be knighted. Some people say, what pedophiles haven't been knighted? But but that's how it is. And some of these pedophiles, they're the exact opposite of what we think a pedophile is. They're very popular. They're socialites. They have excellent social skills. People love them. They have money. They have influence. And these are the most dangerous, because they're going to get away with what they're doing for a long time for somebody to raise an eyebrow. I'm like, look at, you take African Bambaataa. When he was at the height of his popularity, wasn't nobody going to hear that shit. Now that he's just a shell of his former self, he's like this old man still living in a project. He's a joke. He's going down like the Hindenburg. But imagine if somebody like LL Cool J or Russell Simmons, had these allegations of, raping little boys or whatever. You have so many people protecting them. They're like, oh man, they wouldn't do it. LL Cool J is hard as hell. No, I mean, they're after their money and so forth. See, African Bambaataa is just kind of like this nobody dude now, so it's easy to throw him under the bus. Now, and we look at Jerry Sandusky. Now, people criticize anybody who's trying to defend African Bambaataa now, like KRS-One or whatever. Yeah, you're going to be finished. You're going to be scrutinized yourself. But when it came to Jerry Sandusky, there was people defending him. The college students, what was it, Penn State was defending him up until the day of the trial, when all these boys stepped up with their testimony. That's when they backed. There's actually video footage of people protesting, saying Jerry's innocent, he won't do this, these guys are actors, they're trying to destroy him or whatever, until the court date. And then when I was reading up on the Sandusky files, there was people that know about it. There was one guy who was part of the team, because Jerry Sandusky wasn't even a fucking head coach. He was an assistant coach. There was another guy who worked on the team with him, who went into the locker room and saw him doing something with a little boy inside a shower or whatever. And he just kind of backed off or whatever. So they, just like African Bada, the popular pedophiles, these pedophiles with some sort of celebrity, they're dangerous because people know about it and nobody says nothing about it. That whole fucking Penn State, man, there should have been a whole lot of people going to jail besides Jerry Sandusky. Everybody who knew something about it. Just like Jimmy Savine, the dude in England. Everybody knew about what this guy was doing. They just didn't say nothing because they don't give a fuck. So my thing is, who's going to protect the kids, particularly the little boys? Now, females, as I said, are a little bit more, well, they're a lot more protected. Especially when it comes to rape allegations. I'm like, a rape allegation, I can destroy you. I'm like, look, Mike Tyson and Tupac went down for rape allegations. I'm like, because women can easily get some sort of, they can get some sort of movement behind them to try to crush this individual. But when it comes to pedophiles, when it comes to little boys, nobody wants to hear it. People are all like, oh man, you're lying, man. This dude will never do anything like this. Shut up. They don't want to believe that a man that they have so much admiration for would be a pedophile. But people would almost agree that yeah, maybe this, when it comes to rape, so there's a double standard. All it takes is 2 rape allegations, somebody's through. Kobe Bryant or whatever. A lot of these guys, these false rape allegations, maybe some of it's real or whatnot, they get destroyed, they get ran up, they get a stain on their name. But pedophiles, I'm like, pedophiles, they do this for a long time, and when they become old and dusty and when they gotta put on being gay every day, that's when somebody says, oh, we're gonna finally do something to this person. See what I'm saying? It's like one guy, he said, well, Zulu Nation offered him $50,000 to keep quiet. Because Zulu Nation does not have $50,000, and so forth. But, and that's the thing. And we live in a society, and the reason why, and race plays a part. I'm going to tell you this. Just like I said, because even though the black community has its share of pedophiles, but since the overly dominant pedophiles, the movement, these circles are dominated by white people, they're going to have that air. That's what's going to make them dangerous. Because we live in a country where the black, we're worried about the thugs and the gangbangers and things, the fucking knockout game. Remember how they talked about the knockout game? They talked about the like 9/11. But we're overlooking these pedophiles. A fucking pedophiles a gazillion times worse than any dude that's gonna run up and knock somebody out. Which the knockout game was that was just a hyperbole. I'm like, it was rare. You was more likely to get hit by lightning than be a victim of the knockout game. That's what the media does. The media just exploded that. You know what I'm saying? They sensationalized that story, and now it just died out because there was nothing there. But what we still got is these pedophiles running around, which we just, we're overlooking it. It seems like we don't even care. And this what gives them, and this was going to make them dangerous. This is going to make them, because they move in silence. There's this thing called loud crimes and silent crimes. You know, and silent crimes, in my opinion, are a whole lot worse. But that's all I want to say. Thanks for watching. Never stop learning and pay attention to your surroundings.